7 or 8 bills anymore.
Exactly.
I'd like to gavel in a regular
As long as it says it, I don't
scheduled
risk it.
meeting for November 4th, 2013. If you would all please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Alderman Harper.
Here.
Alderman Nguyen.
Here.
Alderman Robertson.
Here.
Alderman Kramer.
Present.
Alderman Tui.
Big voice.
Alderman Leahy.
Here.
Alderman Anderson. Alderman Saunders.
Here.
Anybody not hear that?
Take the game.
It's very loud up here if it's that out there. Approval of the agenda for the regular Board of Aldermen meeting for November 4th, 2013.
Question, Your Honor, for the
Alderman Leahy.
agenda. Bill 5810, if memory serves me correctly, is a rereading of the Bill 5800 that we voted on last meeting, and the vote was a 3-3 tie. So no position had a majority. I'm not sure how this bill then becomes an agenda item on this agenda.
I think the city attorney looked into it and said that it could be brought back as a new bill.
That is correct, as long as there's an alderman who wants to sponsor it.
That being the case, then why would not the same rules apply that we applied to the Boys Hope, Girls Hope coming back on? If we're going to take a parliamentary arrangement and just say that anybody wishes to sponsor the bill, bring it back up. But in that incident, we used very critical rulings from the Robert's Rules of Order. Why doesn't this bill get treated the same way?
In that instance, if recollection serves me, it was a request to see if anybody wanted to change their vote. It could have been resubmitted as a new bill, but it would have had to go through the whole process again, too, as far as the rezoning and the recommendations. Would have had to go back through the committees.
I speak.
Then I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as submitted.
I wanted to question the same topic, just for understanding purposes. As much as I support the compensation survey, and don't get me wrong, I would love for us to do one. My understanding is when there's a tie vote, the motion fails. And so then to reintroduce this, one of the prevailing votes does have to bring it back for reconsideration.
No,
Is
that would be to reconsider that specific bill. This is, to my understanding, been sponsored by an alderman for submission as a new bill.
So you can bring back identical bills? I mean, Robert's Rules of Orders allows you to bring back identical bills time and time again?
I have looked through the state statutes and our ordinances, and there's nothing that would prohibit this. Nothing that I'm able to find.
Well, definitely, I mean, the same that I would like to co-sponsor if it's legal, because I was on the initial too, and would like to co-sponsor it. But again, everything can be reintroduced by any alderman for another vote in the same format.
I don't know that you'd ever be able to change any law if an alderman couldn't sponsor a bill.
But it's a bill that, I mean, a topic that's already been in the exact form discussed and voted on.
Yeah.
Actually, I would suggest, or I would like to suggest, because I think it is important to make sure that we're doing this appropriately, that we have maybe put this bill on hold until we have a chance to review Robert's rules. I think there is at least a time frame before a bill can be brought back if it's been defeated.
Well, see, if I may, Your Honor, that's part of the problem. Under Robert's rules, to reintroduce this issue again, it has to be done at the next meeting.
No.
No, wait a minute, yet that's where we come in under Robert's rules. Now, if the city attorney's correct that you're reintroducing new legislation sponsored by an alderman, and it comes to the board and it's going through the regular legislative process, then yes, I could see where you could bring the bill back as new legislation versus bringing it up as old business and reconsideration. But
The requirement on the next meeting had to do with, I mean, just so there's maybe, I want to make sure you're not confused, that was a zoning ordinance. That had to be brought, zoning has to be brought back at the next meeting. There is no option after that, unless it goes through the process all over again, okay? So a regular bill is different than a zoning ordinance. And so that's specifically spelled out in our zoning code, that had to be brought back at the next meeting in order for it to be reconsidered.
Okay.
And again, no, I think under Robert's rules, because that part of it, you know, I'm not enough to give an opinion or to even state how I would feel about it, but I want to make sure we're, you know, not opening up a situation where every time something is not passed, that we have it brought back at the next meeting. We'll never get anywhere. So,
I've had my hand up.
You can get
Alderman Saunders.
The question, too, is then this also we didn't have this on the Ways and Means agenda to bring it back. So it didn't go through the proper channels.
Doesn't have to.
An alderman can sponsor a bill.
Doesn't
Oh, no,
have
I
to.
know an alderman can, except for that when it's identical, I thought you were saying then maybe it had to go back from the initial process, which typically is to discuss it. But if, this is new to me, where we can bring back don't get me wrong, I voted yes for it. I would love to revisit this situation, but without changing it at all. Like maybe if we said we wanted to do CBIZ or someone different, but in its exact form, I was not aware that we could do that. And anyone can bring back the same legislation time and time again.
And just for clarification, so the audience understands, we might not have this spelled out specifically in our ordinances or in state statute, but we do have an ordinance that says we follow Robert's Rules of Order. So whatever is within Robert's Rules of Order would be the guideline that we need to follow. And I would just like to make sure that we're doing that. I mean, that would be my suggestion. So, yes. So-
Frank, you're certain that we follow Robert's Rules of Order here?
We do follow Robert's Rules of Order.
And this is in compliance with that?
I believe it is, but I will be happy to recheck it.
If you feel confident in your recommendation, I mean, you looked at it.
I feel confident.
Okay, that's fine.
I'd like to say, I just think we should push this off a little bit. And the reason I say that is we already spent at least a half an hour or so debating it last meeting. Let's maybe give it a little time. People can rethink this and come back. We're not going to get it in for this year's budget anyways. So if we revisit this maybe in January or February, I think that'd be fine. I don't think any factors have really changed since the last vote.
Well, Alderman Wayne.
Just wanted to say, we did have something happen a long time ago. It may don't count today, but we built it on this place down here where you wash your cars. This place where you wash the cars. We voted one night, 8-0 for it, against it. Went out and looked at it and saw it was okay. Came back 2 weeks later and voted 8-0 for it. So that situation, we changed it. Of course, it's different. A long time ago, different people, but we did do that.
Right, and I think, again, the way I always understood it in a situation like that, someone who voted no would have to bring the bill back for consideration, is the way I always understood it. So, or that was against the bill would have to want to change their vote in order to bring it back for revote. But that's fine. If the city attorney's comfortable with that, that's fine. And what I would ask for then is a motion to accept the agenda as submitted.
That motion was made, Your
And we
Honor.
need, well, but I think we stopped it for, so,
Motion to approve the agenda as submitted.
and a second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Consideration approval of the minutes from the regular Board of Aldermen meeting from October 21st, 2013. Any changes?
I do.
Alderwoman Saunders?
Just on page 5, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The 8th sentence, guidelines are necessary because the city has to protect itself. If you would just put Alderwoman Saunders asked additional questions. And then the only other thing I have is on page 5, in the Bill 5800, about middle of the paragraph. It says Alderman Kramer made a motion to perfect the bill. I withdrew my second, and Alderman Kramer withdrew his first. It didn't happen until right before we made the motion to put the bill on hold. So I don't know where you want to if you want to put that in the notes.
That's Higgy. That one didn't get put on hold.
No, we made a motion to put it on hold, it didn't pass.
Oh.
But right before that motion, we withdrew our first and second. Does that make sense? Do you see the middle of the page that Alderman Kramer made the motion to perfect the bill? And then we withdrew those because we changed the motion. We then wanted to make a motion to place it on hold. That initial right.
Do you want to verify that?
In order,
Which the
I
sequence
listened to the
was?
tape tonight before coming. In order to make another motion with the motion on the floor,
We would have had to
you'd
remove the
have
second.
to withdraw the
Right.
first and the second.
Okay. Okay.
I do have a question though about the first change. Are you asking me to remove where the statement was made that guidelines are necessary? Or I just need clarity on what you're looking
Page
for. there.
5, just where it says after additional questions, just put Alderwoman Saunders asked additional questions regarding the remote access and the retention policy. So where are we going to put the removal of the
Well,
first
I mean,
and the
I'll go back
second?
and put it wherever it was made at.
Okay.
But yes, it's true that they would have had to withdraw the motion.
We would have, right.
But apparently it's just not included in here, but I can include it wherever.
Okay.
Yeah, it was right before, if you go to page 6, it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Important to find that balance. And then right there, Alderman Kramer would have asked me to withdraw, and I did. He withdrew. And then he made the motion to put it on hold.
Okay. So I have a motion to approve the minutes as amended? Or do you have another change?
No, you need a motion to amend the minutes first.
Okay. Motion to amend the minutes.
So moved.
And second?
Second, Your Honor.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Motion.
Motion to approve the minutes for the October 21st meeting as amended.
Okay. All in favor, or second?
Oh, second.
Thank you. We have a first and a second to approve the the meeting minutes as amended. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Item 5, presentation recognition. We have none this evening. Public hearing, we have none. Bids, we have 3 this evening.
Thank you, Mayor. The first item is for roll-off dumpster services. The city issued a request for proposal for roll-off dumpster services, which are used for the disposal of household waste, pickup items, festival waste, yard waste, debris for 20, 30, 40-yard roll-off dumpsters. We had a total of 5 responses to the RFP. One of the firms responded twice and submitted 2 separate responses. The names of the respondents are Waste Management of Missouri. They're the ones that responded twice. Aspen Waste System, On the Go, and Regency Contractors. This was presented to the Public Works Committee, and the recommendation for the low and the best bid is Waste Management of Missouri.
Okay. And second bid?
Second bid is for sewer lateral cabling services. This is part of the sewer lateral program that is offered by the city. The request for proposal was issued in September, and it's to provide sewer lateral services for residential units in the city. We received a total of 4 proposals from Bi-State Utilities, Roto-Rooter, Gateway Sewer and Drain, Inc., and Mid-America Drain. The low and best bid is Gateway Sewer and Drain, Inc., and that recommendation comes from the Public Works Committee as well.
Okay.
The last item is for concrete material. This request for proposal to provide concrete materials used in public works for street and sidewalk projects was issued back in September. There were a total of 4 companies that also responded: Valley Material, Ranieri Ready Mix, Breckenridge, and Kinestra Material. Staff recommends that the agreement and that the bid go to Valley Material Co. and Ranieri Ready Mix. They provided the best pricing, dependability, and I can't pronounce it.
Availability.
Availability for the proposed service requested. Staff indicated to the Public Works Committee that our initial attempt would be to make these purchases from Valley Material, and then second, Ranieri Ready Mix. So the low and the best bid are both Valley Material and Ranieri Ready Mix.
Okay. Thank you. And we have ordinances on this evening for those.
Correct.
Next item, item 8, hearing of any matter of public interest upon any person present. If anybody would like to address the board, please come forward and give us your name and address.
Denise Sebbing, 2612 Porter, and I'm just here to ask if somebody could give me, I know Justin called me earlier today to give me a brief update of what's happening with the watering bowl, and I understand that there is an ordinance that the city has shared with the owner, and I'd just like to know what that ordinance number is. I had shared there was one, and then I couldn't find it again, so I'd just like an update on what I think what I understood is that somebody was going to be getting back to the city about a response to what the city sent to them. So I'd just like an update and then what that ordinance number is. Thank you.
Karen Smith Harrison. So I attended the last meeting where the compensation survey did not pass, and then I also went to the Ways and Means Committee, and there was some discussion there about compensation, and it was just noted that they didn't have the information that was needed to have some of the discussions they wanted to have, and that it would have been helpful to have that compensation survey. So I just would like to ask you to reconsider that again in support of it. Thank you.
Hi, Barry Williams, 9001 Pine Avenue, Ward 1. A question and a suggestion. I seem to recall maybe a year ago that the Dearberg family had reconsidered their opposition to having a more direct access point to the light rail station over by their supermarket. You know, as it is now, pedestrians have a long walk if they're leaving the retail stores there to get to the train. And I thought there was talk, I know initially they were concerned about people parking there in their lot and going to Cardinals games and occupying their spaces for 4 hours. But I thought maybe there'd been a change of heart. I wonder if anybody knows if there will in fact be a shorter walk in the future for pedestrians over there. And then a suggestion, I'm delighted that the city put in the walkway through Hanley Industrial Court to reach the light rail line. It's really nice for Brentwood residents to have a safe pathway now to get to and from the trains so they don't have to walk out in the streets anymore. I traveled that route the other night, though, and I think we could use a few more street lights. The situation is right now, on that pathway, there are 4 old Cobra headlights from 40 years ago that are mercury vapor. They're kind of obsolete and they're not very bright. They really should be upgraded to sodium vapor like most of the city lights have been. That would increase the brightness. And then, you know that section of Hanley Industrial Court around Metro Lighting and North Star Ice Cream? It's very dark over there. There's no ambient light from the businesses around there. There are no public street lights, and it's really very dark. We could probably use a couple of lights from Ameren on the poles over there. Thank you.
Okay, we'll close public comment. I'll go backwards first with respect to the sidewalk. When we initially received the grant for that project 3 years ago, we met with Dearbergs, Ellen Daly and myself. We very much wanted to encourage them to put in steps basically from their sidewalk straight out because we believe that there's a lot of patrons that use that. It would reduce the need for them to walk all the way to the back of the store and then use that walkway back up to Metrolink. But they were still concerned about the cars and those kinds of things, and so they were against that, and that's their property, so we did not move forward with that as part of it. It would have been originally part of the original scope of that project for the sidewalks. The lights, that's something that was not included in that, just because of a cost standpoint. But I think we could look at that area and see if there's some places to either put on a light pole. It is very dark right around that bend right there, right in front of that stretch of whatever Hanley Road that is there. So, with respect to the ordinance number, I would guess I would have to find. I have not seen the letter that we sent.
We can provide that
Yeah,
later.
we'll have to get that to you. So I don't have that with me. Okay. Any other? All right. Next item: introduction, reading, and passage of bills. If I have a motion for the first and second readings of bills number 5787, 5796, 5806, 5807, 5808, 5809, 5810. That's it. First and second readings only.
So
Motion.
moved.
Thank you. Second.
Second, Your Honor.
This is for first and second readings only. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. No,
Hold on
correction.
one second.
5787
Mayor?
is a third reading.
I think we're just going to go ahead and do two more. Can't hurt to have too many.
Mayor Keller,
Yes.
Bill number 5796 is still on hold. I'm scheduled to meet with the Hanley Industrial
Oh,
Court
you're right.
rep,
Okay.
so that won't be back until the next meeting.
Okay. Sorry. Usually leave them off until they come back. Okay. But we'll just have additional readings on that just because we had some changes. Okay. So scratch bill number 5796. That is still on hold. So if I get a motion for first and second readings of the listed bills.
So moved, Your Honor.
Second.
Okay, thank you. We had a first and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. First reading of bill number 5787, please.
First reading bill number 5787 by title only, an ordinance amending Chapter 12 of the Revised Code of Ordinances of Brentwood, Missouri by deleting Article 13 in its entirety and by adding in lieu thereof a new Article 13 as it relates to a pilot program for mobile food vendors, providing for the effective date of this ordinance, providing for the current maintenance of this code, and providing for the repeal of all conflicting ordinances.
Thank you. Synopsis, please.
Yes, Your Honor. Bill 5787, mobile food vendor, contains, variants and some changes from previous discussion. This bill covers an ordinance authorizing the amendment of Chapter 12 of the Revised Code of Ordinances for the City of Brentwood, Missouri. The ordinance would allow mobile food vendors for a period of 12 months for the adoption of the ordinance, that in order to discern the impacts of mobile food vendors on the City of Brentwood, its businesses, and inhabitants.
Any questions?
Just
Alderman Saunders.
On the actual first page of the bill, under purpose, second sentence, 12 months and providing regulations for their operation on public property. Needs to be added, the word property, but I was wondering if we should say public and private property, because we do make the stipulation that the private property is just on a case-by-case basis.
I agree.
So I move that we that we make that change to 5787 amended bill to add the word
Public and private property.
and private property.
Okay. Second for that change.
I'll second that, Your Honor.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Alderman Lady.
I have a question as to the interpretation of the bill. On page 2 of the bill, any permit, I'm under the mobile food vendors permits. Any permit is for a specific city-owned park location and shall be specified with the exact location permit. Last time we discussed this bill, we were talking about the food permit trucks only at city special events. But the way the bill's written, you can go in and request a permit to set up in the city parks and then operate year-round out of the city parks. Am I misunderstanding the way the bill's written currently?
Yes.
I thought, because originally I was looking to try to get them established in the city, but we determined that that wasn't what we wanted to do. We wanted to limit it to specific events and/or charity or commercial events that owners of properties would want.
Alderman Kramer.
Yes, Your Honor, thank you. Just some feedback for my esteemed alderman from adjacent ward there, Alderman Leahy. The city-owned park location topic was one of the first topics that we discussed when we decided we were not going to look for mobile food vendors on public streets or near adjacent private businesses unless they abided by the exception that was only to be provided by our city administrator on a case-by-case basis. So it's true, they would only be allowed in specific city-owned park locations. Specification for that would be as permitted unless it's a special occasion that's approved by our city administrator.
So what you're doing then is not limiting it to concerts in the park, Madden Fest Day, these type of activities, but a vendor could come up and make a permit of the city to go down to the Brentwood Ball Diamonds and set up a food vending position during the ball season and work it out. Or, gee, the snow cone facility that we have down in Memorial Park right now, that they could go down and set up a food vendor spot in the evenings down there if they wish to and just get a case-by-case permit request. That's not the way I thought the bill was being changed and written.
I agree.
I think
I
it's
thought
just
it
a
was,
little-
I thought it was going to be designated for special events, both city and private.
Yeah.
Well, Your Honor, the exception for the private is on the last point above Section 2.
Mm-hmm.
We changed that at the last meeting so that we would solve that issue. And we discussed it with our city administrator, we discussed it with our city attorney, and we discussed it and we discussed it. And then after that, we discussed it some more.
Believe me, I know.
Your Honor, would this board entertain the thought of sending the revised ordinance potential back to planning and zoning for their review, since we did completely change what they came to us with, and at least give them a chance to chime in? Would that be of any value, or is that just procrastinating this bill?
Mayor?
Woman.
I think it's just maybe
Saunders,
the
sorry.
wording is confusing. The agreement was definitely that they would only be allowed at city-owned parks on our invitation, that we would organize the events that we wanted them, and then private property on a case-by-case basis. So is that permit, I mean, I think what Alderman Kramer, and maybe I'm wrong, is the first part is us inviting them, city-owned parks, and the second part, the permit for specific exact locations when BOLA decides that, you know, a private event. It's not worded the best, do you know what I mean? But the intent, and is that sentence, do we have to have that sentence even? I mean, later it says that, you know, the city will
May from time
advertise
to
and
time.
solicit, do you know what I mean, from
Yeah.
time to time. I mean, or we could just put at the end of there, and we'll issue permits, you know, and you could do the same on the case-by-case basis. I just think the wording is cumbersome, but that's the only issue. I think we were in agreement. I mean, this has gone on and on. It's just a pilot program. We better get it executed.
Is the wording perhaps superfluous? Possibly. Is it harmful? No. But
I mean, I guess the thing
You
is
wanna
they
change
could
it again?
obtain a permit for a city, they could obtain a permit for the park, but then later, if they're not invited to be there, they can't use it. So if they want to give us $25 for no reason, that's fine.
If I might interject this, I think of it as the intention of the board to have a limitation on the placement of these trucks on city properties for specific events. That limitation probably ought to be specifically set out in there.
Thank you.
I agree.
Yes.
I mean, I think you just scratch that first sentence and add, you know,
first
permits.
sentence where, Your Honor?
Huh?
First sentence where?
Well, any permits for specific city-owned parks, I would just eliminate that and say, all permits will only be issued for special events within city parks or private property, and, I mean, with specifying the exact location and times. something along that lines.
But, Your Honor, when you say private property, then you're opening it up to,
For special events. Like, we talked about this at the last meeting, if a business is having, well, I use the example of Walgreens is having a fundraiser and they want to bring in food trucks as part of that, then they would be able to do it. It wouldn't be something that they could do on a weekly or monthly basis.
and.
Can we
it's-
just-
The part above Section 2 covers that, though. The sentence above Section 2 is specific to that. So,
I'll agree with you that it allows it on private property, but it does not limit it to a specific thing. I can come in as a vendor, make an agreement with Walgreens that I show up every Saturday and come into the city and make the permit request, and the city administrator has to grant it. I have the private parties' agreement to be on their property. That's not the intent of what we wanted to approve to work with. Thus, it would have to be on a special activity basis. And I think it does need to be spelled out properly.
Can we
Now-
just, on the second page, would it be possible just where it says the city may from time to time advertise or solicit, at the end of that say the city will issue a permit? Then the next thing, any application for events on private property may be allowed only by approval on a case-by-case. The city will issue a permit. And then right below that, put the fee of $25. And just scrap that sentence. I mean, those are the two things that we will issue permits for, those last two items. I thought we agreed on that. So just put the city will issue permits, and then put it on the next line, and just move down the cost of the permit. You could leave it there, but you could just drop it down.
Mayor?
Yes.
I think since it's new, something new we're doing, we have to take our time and do it right. I mean, it's hard for me to sit here, and maybe because I'm a little slower, but I hear all these things, and I'm trying to, well, what is it? What do they say? What's behind it? I haven't had time to think that out. And I think it'd be better if we're having questions about it and how to write it, is to put it on hold. I mean, we're in no big hurry, are we?
Right. Frank, do you understand what we're trying to say?
I do.
I believe I do.
Okay. Can we just place this on hold and bring it back in next meeting and just clarify those 2 points a little bit? Again, this time of year, there isn't anybody out there banging on our door to take on the
Your
application.
Honor.
So, Alderman Lee.
I'd like to make a motion to the board that the corrected draft bill go back to planning and zoning for review. The reason I'm making the recommendation is the bill came to us with a negative recommendation from the planning and zoning group. It requires a 6-member majority to pass it. If we've redrafted the bill and changed its terms, and planning and zoning reviews it and approves it, then a simple majority would be able to pass the bill. And I think that may be helpful when this bill finally comes to a vote, thus giving them the courtesy of a review and a recommendation might end up benefiting the bill's process.
I don't have any problem with that. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. This is to send the revised bill after those changes back to P&Z for their review. Alderman Saunders?
The timing going into the colder weather gives us a little bit of leeway, and I understand, Alderman Nguyen, what you're saying, but the residents have asked about this issue. I have many residents asking about this issue, most of them supporting, at least wanting to get some kind of pilot program. And it's just disappointing that it's taken this many attempts, and that the concern is that we knew what we wanted, but we can't get the language right. That's concerning to me. I'm happy we can, that we do have a little bit of time, but I'm disappointed that it's going to be put on hold again, and I really don't know that I support that. I think it should have come with us and have been reviewed by legal, and I think our intent was very, very clear at the last meeting.
No. Alderman Kramer?
Your Honor, I'd like to echo Alderwoman Saunders' comments. I know that each of the bills, I believe, are reviewed by our legal counsel. And if there's a problem with intent or meaning or clarification, I think we normally get advice on those items. And my guess is, and I'll ask Frank, did you see anything glaring when you reviewed this before?
As I reviewed this bill, there's been so much discussion back and forth, and each time it's come before the board, I think there's been flip-flops on various provisions. not having heard any specific questions from aldermen before tonight, I assume that the bill that was being brought, since I didn't draft it, is the bill that they wanted. If you want me to redraft this bill, I'm happy to do it.
So to finish, Your Honor,
Well, then, here's what I say. Let's just, let's stop the discussion, put in the lines that you think you want it there so that we can, because we just keep going around in a circle, because we're saying we want it this way, but we're not. Make specific changes to the bill in order to state what you think is what the board will support or not support.
Well, I think it's legal's job to put it in. The intention is that we want to allow food trucks in city-owned parks at our invitation, at the city's invitation. And the other thing is to allow it on private property on a case-by-case basis.
No, for special events. I think you need to say special events.
Special events, okay. Okay, special events on a case-by-case. See, I didn't know that we were going to only do it for
Well,
special. We didn't put that in before.
Here's the issue that I think you would run into from a city standpoint if you said case by case. When you leave it too much discretion, you don't know how to say no then. So they could say, well, I can apply for a permit every month then.
Right.
it's supposed to be for charity originally.
Okay.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Would have clarified.
Right.
So for
Well,
special
not
events
necessarily,
then,
but-
so is everybody in agreement with that as far as, I mean, just consensus-wise, do we seem like that's what we want to do for our test pilot program? Does anyone get a feel for that? Seems like a good start, venturing into food trucks?
It's fine with me.
Should we vote on our motion?
Your Honor, if I could just finish up the point for the time before when I had the
Sure.
topic at hand, and that was that for those folks who are new to government or new to the process, this is an illustration of how government can move slowly and perhaps not necessarily efficiently. So I equal the disappointment that's been voiced by Alderwoman Saunders, and I'm happy to vote on the motion.
Motion on the floor is to
It's
take the
just-
drafted bill
Bill
back to
back to
P and Z.
P&Z.
Do
So-
you want to take the motion to remove that and bring in the motion to amend and define what the
Or
drafted
do
bill?
you want to vote on this first? We can vote on, the motion on the floor is to take the revised bill back to P and Z. Roll call.
Can I get clarity first on? I'm sorry, on which draft? Is he making changes and then we're sending it to P and Z, or are we sending it in the
Yeah,
form
the
that is
changes
presented
would be to
right now?
clarify special events and
Although we didn't
public,
vote on those.
huh?
We didn't vote on this.
Well, we had talked about, again,
Just as is, sending it back to P and Z.
well,
You
and
can
again,
tell them.
I think there's been some criticism here, and then I think the point is staff hasn't gotten good direction from us, because we're saying one thing and then expecting them to go back and revise the bill and bring it back, and then we're saying we're not happy with the revision because we're not telling them what exactly we want. So we said we want these revisions in there, and said we could then take it back to P and Z, and now you're saying we didn't give them the revision. So I think that's what is added to the miscommunication on what is going on with this bill. So the motion on the floor, revise the bill, take it back to P and Z for their review, and I would call for the question. So roll call, please.
Alderman Harper,
No.
Alderman Nguyen,
Yes.
Alderman Robertson,
Yes.
Alderman Kramer,
No.
Alderman Tui,
No.
Alderman Leahy,
Yes.
Alderwoman Saunders.
No.
Okay, good. Now, suggested changes so that we can,
Okay.
the two changes that we need to do so that we can pass the bill before us.
Okay, Mayor Kelly?
Sure.
The only thing, okay, and that was new. Last week I had said drop the charity. And we didn't say to put the word special in, so that's a change you're proposing. I know your intention was for like company picnics and that kind of thing, so not just across the board if they want to allow. So you'd like to add the word special.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I make a motion that we add the word special to that particular sentence.
Well, where is that?
On,
Two places.
Two
Right above
places?
section 2,
Two
page
places.
3.
May I chime in?
yes, you may.
Thank you, Your Honor. May I have the floor?
Sure.
Thank you. On page 2 of the bill, under the mobile food vendor permit, any permit is for a specific city-owned park location, and it shall specify the exact location permitted. In that sentence, add that any permit is for a special event in a city-owned park. That
I'd
would
like
be
to
the
jump
first
in.
location.
I'd like to delete that sentence.
Well, hang on. And then on page 3, under the fourth sentence, any application for an event on private property, add any application for a special event on private property may be allowed only with approval by the city administrator. That
And-
way you've covered that it's not a weekly activity or something of this nature, and it's something that does with a business going on with their arrangements.
And may I interrupt now?
Go ahead.
I would omit that second sentence as we discussed. No, any permit is for a specific, just omit that. And then I would add, as I stated before, on the final page of the bill, the city may from time to time advertise that sentence and then say the city will issue a permit. The next, any application for special events on private property may be allowed, case by case, the city will issue a permit.
If you eliminate any permit is for a specific city-owned park arrangement, then the only requirement you have in the mobile permit is the third sentence, that the mobile food vendors may operate year-round. Thus, I come in and pay my $25, I've got my permit, I establish Monday through Sunday from 11 to 2 in the afternoon at this location, and the city has to issue a permit.
These are all or, you're saying? You don't
No.
have to meet all the
No,
requirements?
this is the criteria that gives the city permission to issue a permit. And based on that, the third sentence allows them a year-round permit. I'm trying to get it to allow just for the specific events until we've tested the market and see how these work for the city of Brentwood. Then, if we wish to, we can open it to a full-fledged year-round commercial entity. But right now, I'm more for staying with, let's see how they do in special events in city parks.
Okay, I'm fine with that change.
Yeah.
I'll support that.
So we have who made the motion?
Okay. That's the motion is here to add it, and we just
Add the
clarified
special.
where.
Right.
So she's willing to amend
Okay.
the motion to
The
approve
the
this.
motion,
Include Alderman
we had a
land
first and a
use.
second. The motion is to add any permit is issued for special events in city parks. Wait a minute.
Yeah, that's the
Yes.
first place.
Okay, right.
And
And
then-
you're going to need to word that a little bit better than that, but we need to put special events into that sentence. And then again, on the last page,
An
an
application.
application for special events and
Substitute the
private
word
parties
special
may
for
be
charity.
allowed, right?
Okay. And do we want to put special events in city parks as invited by the city? I mean, do you need to specify that? I just want to make sure.
I
Well,
think it
No,
would-
because we're going to be having the event. I mean, it could be,
Okay, okay.
again, it could be a business that's, I'll
Okay.
just use another, a
I just
business
want to
could
make sure
be,
it doesn't come again.
have a park permit to rent a pavilion, then they're going to bring that in for their event.
Well, we've rented out the baseball fields to a group that ran a weekend tournament, and thus they could request allowing food vendors at that
Exactly.
tournament.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, so this is for those changes. We had a first and a second. Roll call? Okay.
Oh, no.
Yep, confusing it.
It was recommended by Alderwoman Saunders under the purpose to add, after the word public, add and private property.
Yes,
Right.
include that.
We already did that
Did
motion.
that motion
We already-
get approved?
We did
Okay.
that separately. Yeah, we did
Okay.
that first.
Thank you, Justin.
Thanks, but better to be safe than sorry.
Yep.
Okay, so this is for these two changes. Everybody understand? Roll call, please.
Alderman Harper?
Yes.
Alderman Nguyen?
No.
Alderman Robertson?
Yes.
Alderman Kramer?
Yes.
Alderman Tui?
Yes.
Alderman Leahy?
Yes,
Alderwoman Saunders?
Yes.
Okay.
Now I move that we adopt the
Wait,
amended.
Well, I think we need to remove the line that says mobile food vendors may operate year-round, subject to limitations of hours of
correct.
operation.
Thank you.
because we won't have a permit for that.
I'll make that motion.
Okay,
I'll second the motion.
thank you. Can I just say all in favor on this one?
Where exactly is
That is the
Page 2.
page 2 under mobile vendors, it's the third line. Mobile food vendors may operate year-round, subject to limitation of hours and of operation. That needs to be removed. Okay,
Can you s-
roll call.
Alderman Harper?
Yes.
Alderman Nguyen?
Yes.
Alderman Robertson?
Yes.
Alderman Kramer?
Yes.
Alderman Tui?
Yes.
Alderman Leahy?
Yes.
Alderwoman Saunders?
Yes.
Okay, then if I can suggest one more addition. For the last line above section 2, add one more line. Just like we do with special sign permits, we limit the number that they can do every year. I think we should say no more than 2 special events per year per private property.
That works.
So they don't come in every month for one.
I'll make that motion, Your Honor.
Well, we have to invite them.
No, this is for private property.
Oh, for the private properties?
Right,
I'll make that, Your Honor. Make that your motion.
okay. In a second?
Second.
Okay.
I have a question.
Alderman Harper.
I just want to make sure I'm clear. So if I'm food vendor A, I can only do it twice a year, but what if several companies in Brentwood have special events and they each want me to come? Am I restricted to only 2?
No, it's specific to the property, not to
To
the
the
vendor.
property owner.
Right.
Okay.
So that they don't have a special event every month.
Gotcha.
I mean, you can do 3. I think we need to put a limit in there so
Well,
we
let's
don't have
just
them.
qualify that right after that one, say property owners.
That's what I
limited.
said. I
Okay,
said no
I
more than
apologize.
2 permits per year per property.
Okay.
Okay?
I'll second
And we-
that.
I think we already had a first and second, didn't we?
Oh,
I'm 1, she's 2.
Okay. Roll call.
Alderman Harper?
Yes.
Alderman Nguyen?
Yes.
Alderman Robertson?
Yes.
Alderman Kramer?
Yes.
Alderman Tui?
Yes.
Alderman Leahy?
Yes.
Alderwoman Saunders?
yes.
Okay?
And
Now, a motion to adopt the bill as amended.
So moved.
And second.
Second.
Is there a second?
Second.
No more discussion? Roll call, please.
Clarification.
Alderman Leahy.
Clarification.
I
because-
tried.
No, man, just so the board understands, because this is an override of the planning and zoning, this ordinance would require 6 votes to pass.
Okay?
Your Honor,
Is that correct?
Well,
If I could recommend we have a second reading of this also.
oh, yeah, we haven't had a second read. You're right. Thank you.
This is actually a
The vote from P and Z was
A negative.
a negative, yeah, so we would need 6 votes regardless, right? Yes. Okay.
3rd. Bless you.
Second reading, please, of the revised bill.
Second reading, bill number 5787 is amended. An ordinance amending Chapter 12 of the revised Code of Ordinances of Brentwood, Missouri by deleting Article 13 in its entirety and by adding in lieu thereof a new Article 13 as it relates to a pilot program for mobile food vendors, providing for the effective date of this ordinance, providing for the current maintenance of this code, and providing for the repeal of all conflicting ordinances.
Okay. Now do I have a motion?
I move that we adopt
Bless you.
or perfect Bill 5787 into ordinance form.
And second.
As
Second.
amended.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Alderman Harper?
Yes.
Alderman Nguyen?
No.
Alderman Robertson?
Yes.
Alderman Kramer?
Yes.
Alderman Tui?
Yes.
Alderman Leahy?
Yes.
Alderwoman Saunders?
Yes.
Your Honor.
Bill number 5787 is now ordinance number 4471.
Your Honor.
Yes, Alderman Kramer.
If I could, please, exclaim my joy in passing this bill into an ordinance, and I hereby take back my comments about moving slowly tonight.
First reading of bill number 5806, please.
First reading, bill number 5806 by title only, an ordinance authorizing the mayor and/or city administrator to enter into and execute an agreement with Waste Management of Missouri and providing for the effective date of this ordinance.
Synopsis, please.
Your Honor, Bill 5806 is a dumpster roll-off bill and covers an ordinance authorizing the mayor of our city and/or city administrator to execute an agreement with Waste Management of Missouri for the dumpster roll-off services.
Thank you. Any questions? Second reading, please.
Second reading, bill number 5806 by title only, an ordinance authorizing the mayor and/or city administrator to enter into and execute an agreement with Waste Management of Missouri and providing for the effective date of this ordinance.
Okay. Any questions? Alderman Lay.
If I may, I had this issue clarified in the Public Works meeting, if I'm right. We did it at Public Works. The roll-off dump service is not only for the city of Brentwood, but also covers the roll-off dumpsters that we use at Brentwood Forest. And I just want the board to be aware that there are actually 2 actual services that are being done, not just one.
Okay.
Which is a part of the city of Brentwood.
Did
Do
you
we
have a
do
comment?
that? Well, I mean, do we do this for the other condos? Is this in keeping, are we, Frank, in keeping with our ordinances as far as?
That's the only kind of association where I actually pick up trash. Right.
That's
The other
correct.
ones had to supply their own trash service.
That is correct.
Okay, and is it okay that we treat one condo association different than the other?
I believe in this instance, yes, we have been picking up their trash for years.
Okay.
Well,
Alderman Lay.
the reason I made this issue, because I brought it to Public Works a little bit more than 2 years ago. We provide Brentwood Forest with 2 trash pickup services at the corners. We provide them with a recycled trash pickup service to work with. We also do the yard waste is where this dumpster gets pulled in. They have a contractual service that does the lawn care for the common grounds, and then that debris is what's put in the dumpsters, and the city picks up that fee. Now, originally, because that was a contractual service at Brentwood Forest, that was something that was covered in the condo fees, and we gave them the second trash service, as I understood it. It has grown to the 2 trash, the 1 recycle, and covering the yard waste to work with. That's more of a benefit service that 1/4 of the city of Brentwood receives versus what we give her the rest of the residents of the city of Brentwood.
I don't know. Do we really want to get into every ward truing up with each other? I mean, it just seems kind of.
Well, that's it, but I just want to clarify, it is, I wouldn't say it has grown into this. The city's been providing this service for Brentwood Forest as long as I can remember.
Since day one.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that it's grown. It's
There's
just,
no
it's
growth,
the
Your
service that we provide, that's yard waste service that we provide for that organization is part of the service that we provide for all of the residents.
Correct.
I mean, I'm not saying you can't discuss it, but I'm just saying, I just want to clarify that
Well,
nothing was ever changed.
The discussion that we had was the fact that they were getting 2 trash service daily pickups because they weren't getting a yard service pickup, but you're doing the dumpster.
No, it's not.
Now, you're saying that the yard service is part of the original agreements that we work with, then why are we giving them 2 trash service pickups when everybody else in the city gets 1?
It's a separate discussion.
Can I answer?
Alderwoman Saunders.
As far as the trash pickup, we give them the 2 because they walk their bags to the curb, so the trash men only have to go to the 1 area. And since it is a condo unit, most of them probably can't accommodate the recycle bins, the carts that we provide residents. So I think that's kind of the compromise there. I have no problem with that. I just want to make sure, like, does Brentwood Forest reimburse us for doing the trash? I'm not looking for that, but I just want to make sure that, do you know what I mean, that the other 2 condo associations, do they need to be treated the same way? Do we need to provide trash for them? That's the only question that I would like Frank to answer.
Well, we only have one other condo association, that would be the Hanley Station. And they, again, during their approval process, because it's a different type of operation, they were required to have their own dumpsters. So,
Okay. And they agreed to provide their own trash?
Huh?
They agreed to provide their own trash?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, as part of that development. So, I mean,
And do we have an agreement with Brentwood Forest, some kind of written agreement, or is it just?
I don't know if it's actually.
Gentleman's agreement.
It's just what the city's always done,
Your
so.
Honor.
Right. Alderman Kramer.
I mean, I'm
could.
fine if maybe we should document it since we're saying the city's always done.
Well,
I'm okay, though. Don't get me wrong, I wasn't trying to be, I just wanted to make sure that the other two condos, and you said that we made those arrangements when they were,
we only have one other
well,
one.
what's the
Right.
villas? I'm sorry.
That's apartments.
Apartments, okay.
Okay. Alderman Kramer.
Your Honor, this is an interesting topic. I apologize if I sound frustrated, but this has been debated and discussed and hashed and rehashed and discussed at the Public Works Committee on a number of occasions. Alderman Leahy has been to each of those committee meetings and has voiced his concerns and received conversation from association management, from our Public Works Department, from our own city staff, and from other members on the committee to his satisfaction at each one of those meetings. Votes were taken at each one of those meetings, and Brentwood Forest was allowed to continue to proceed as it has since approximately 1979. In Brentwood Forest, right now, we have, to the city's ease, as has been discussed many times, a fee-based collection by a private contractor to put all of our yard waste in one location so the city does not have to pick up the separate bags. The city has always seen fit that that's a fair enough trade-off to be able to take care of just one, the roll-off dumpster. And then as far as the trash pickup, which is not really part of this bill, but Alderman Leahy would like to bring it up, the city of Brentwood has always allowed Brentwood Forest to have twice-a-week trash pickup because we're not allowed to store our trash like a regular house can store trash outside. We have a very confined situation that most residential houses don't have. And so we place our bags out in front of our units on a regular basis, twice a week, for the city to come by. It's a very expedient, very efficient process. Everybody is happy with it, to my knowledge, year over year, decade in, decade out, except for a few small exceptions.
Well, and I just want to clarify, I am totally fine with providing trash. You clarified the Hanley Station for me, and Brentwood Forest is a valuable part of the community. I'm happy to provide them with trash service.
Okay. Okay, we had a first and second reading. Do we have a motion to approve?
Yes, you did have a motion.
We had a first and a second. Roll call, please.
I don't have that first and second.
I thought we did.
Yeah, because I interrupted with a question before we called for the question.
Yeah. Okay, can I have first and second to approve, to perfect, it was Alderwoman Saunders, I believe, actually, but that's fine. Motion to perfect Bill number 5806 into ordinance form.
So moved.
And second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Alderman Harper?
Yes.
Alderman Nguyen?
Yes.
Alderman Robertson?
Yes.
Alderman Kramer?
Yes.
Alderman Tui?
Yes.
Alderman Leahy?
No.
Alderwoman Saunders?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. First, oh, go ahead.
Bill number 5806 is now ordinance number 4472.
Thank you. First reading of Bill number 5807, please.
First reading Bill number 5807 by title only, an ordinance authorizing the mayor and/or city administrator to enter into and execute an agreement with Gateway Sewer and Drain, Inc., and providing for the effective date of this ordinance.
Okay, synopsis, please.
Yes, Your Honor, this has to do with our sewer lateral program. Bill 5807 covers the cleaning service for that program and is an ordinance authorizing the mayor of our city and our city administrator to execute an agreement with Gateway Sewer and Drain Incorporated, that for the sewer lateral cable cleaning services for this coming year. Is that correct, Bola? 2014?
Yes.
Okay. Any questions? Second reading, please.
Second reading Bill number 5807 by title only, an ordinance authorizing the mayor and/or city administrator to enter into and execute an agreement with Gateway Sewer and Drain, Inc., and providing for the effective date of this ordinance.
Thank you. We have motion, please.
Your
I
Honor,
move that we
for
pro-
option.
Oh,
And second?
I'll second.
Motion is made by Alderman Robertson, second by Alderwoman Saunders. Roll call, please.
Alderman Harper?
Yes.
Alderman Nguyen?
Yes.
Alderman Robertson?
Yes.
Alderman Kramer?
Yes.
Alderman Tui?
Yes.
Alderman Leahy?
Yes.
Alderwoman Saunders?
Yes.
Bill number 5807 is now ordinance number 4473.
Just glad that we had it.
well, Alderman Kramer was asking if I wanted to say anything about the sewer lateral program. I think, this is one of the, well, it is the best sewer lateral program in St. Louis County. I know people get tired of hearing that, but it really is. We're the only municipality that covers that blockage, what this is specifically for, on a 24-hour basis from the home out the street. A lot of our residents take advantage of this service. If our men can't get to it during the day, these guys are on call, again, 24 hours a day, in order to provide that for us. And it has really worked out well and has been beneficial to the residents. So, it's just been a great service and a good service that the city provides for our residents. So, okay. First reading of Bill number 5808, please.
First reading Bill number 5808 by title only, an ordinance authorizing the mayor and/or city administrator to enter into and execute an agreement with Valley Material Company and providing for the effective date of this ordinance.
Synopsis, please.
Yes, Your Honor. Bill 5808 for concrete supplies for our city of Brentwood covers an ordinance authorizing the mayor of our city and/or our city administrator to actually execute an agreement with Valley Material Company for the concrete supplies.
Okay. Thank you. Alderman Saunders.
I'm on Public Works, and I know we moved this forward to the board, and I'm fine with accepting Valley Materials, but then the next bill will be 5809, which is to accept Ranieri Ready Mix. And I thought about that since that meeting, and we don't typically, we take the lowest and best bid. Engineering was different. We did RFQs, and we adopted several of them, but we don't normally take a backup. And when I asked Jim about, why would we have a backup, he said, well, if Valley Material doesn't show up for an hour, well, I don't think we should foresee problems with a contractor. I mean, I think that we don't do this with others, like with ND West and asphalt, we accept it, so I think we should just accept the best and lowest bid and not execute another agreement with Ranieri.
I would disagree with that. Our supervisor knows his business, and I'm in contracting too. There are times when you've got to have your concrete and they can't get to you, so that you need a backup plan.
Yeah, a lot of times they'll call in that concrete a day ahead of time. And if the contractor's already booked and they don't have time to do it, that does happen. So they just want to have the ability to call another contractor to have the concrete delivered. I'm not sure, too. I would think that would be the most common reason for that. So, I don't think that's too unusual.
Is that, and so would we do that like with the asphalt too, or is that never an issue?
Well, asphalt, we do most of our own patchwork, so we just go get the asphalt and do that. We're doing larger jobs, that's done under a specific contract. So, this is for the day-to-day materials that we use for sidewalks, curbs, those kinds of things, slab replacement. So.
Okay.
Okay. So, second reading, please.
Second reading, Bill number 5808 by title only, an ordinance authorizing the mayor and/or city administrator to enter into and execute an agreement with Valley Material Company and providing for the effective date of this ordinance.
Okay. Any other questions? Motion, please.
I'll move for adoption, Your Honor.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Alderman Harper?
Yes.
Alderman Nguyen?
Yes.
Alderman Robertson?
Yes.
Alderman Kramer?
Yes.
Alderman Tui?
Yes.
Alderman Leahy?
Yes.
Alderwoman Saunders?
Yes.
Bill number 5808 is now ordinance number 4474.
Okay, thank you. Another reason might be if they know they're the sole supplier, you'll always go to the bottom of their list. Because if the contractor knows or the concrete company knows that they are your sole supplier, they may always put you at the bottom of the list because they know you can't go anywhere else.
Okay.
Could happen. So,
Okay.
first reading of bill number 5809, please.
First reading Bill number 5809 by title only, an ordinance authorizing the mayor and/or city administrator to enter into and execute an agreement with Ranieri Ready Mix and providing for the effective date of this ordinance.
Thank you. Synopsis, please.
Yes, Your Honor. This is the Bill 5809 for the concrete supplies as an alternate. This bill is for an ordinance authorizing the mayor of our city of Brentwood and/or city administrator to execute an agreement with Ranieri Ready Mix, a.k.a. Ranieri Building Materials Incorporated, For concrete supplies, city staff will only purchase from Rainery Ready Mix if and when it's determined that Valley Material is unable to provide dependable and available supplies.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Second reading, please.
Second reading, Bill number 5809 by title only, an ordinance authorizing the mayor and/or city administrator to enter into and execute an agreement with Rainery Ready Mix and providing for the effective date of this ordinance.
Okay. Motion, please.
So move.
Second.
Get a first and a second, please.
Alderman Harper?
Yes.
Alderman Nguyen?
Yes.
Alderman Robertson?
Yes.
Alderman Kramer?
Yes.
Alderman Tui?
Yes.
Alderman Leahy?
Yes.
Alderwoman Saunders?
No.
Bill
Thank
number
you.
5809 is now ordinance number 4475.
First reading of bill number 5810, please.
First reading, Bill number 5810 by title only, an ordinance authorizing the mayor and/or city administrator to execute a professional services agreement on behalf of the city of Brentwood, Missouri with Higbee Associates for comprehensive compensation consulting and providing for the effective date of this ordinance.
Alderman Saunders.
I'd like to go ahead and place this bill on hold until we have a full board, and then also to, so we can discuss maybe at Ways and Means a little bit more about the step plan that Mayor Kelly, the new or revised step plan for the public safety, to make sure that that'll be in the compensation survey, how to implement that and reconcile that with the current step plan that we have.
I'll second that motion.
Second.
Motion to place it on hold. We have first and second. Any comment? Okay. Roll call, please.
Oh, I have
Alderman
one other
Harper?
comment, sorry. It also allows us, the attorney, to, as you said at the beginning of the meeting, to verify that, this is properly put on.
Okay.
Alderman Harper?
Yes.
Alderman Nguyen?
No.
Alderman Robertson?
No.
Alderman Kramer?
Yes.
Alderman Tui?
Yes.
Alderman Leahy?
Yes.
Alderwoman Saunders?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. We have two resolutions this evening. Resolution 99. Alderman Kramer.
Yes, Your Honor, the Resolution 999, St. Louis County Municipal League monthly meeting. This resolution provides for the consumption of beer, wine, and other liquor for the consumption.
No, just beer and wine.
Oh, just beer and wine?
It says and liquor.
I know, but I'm just telling you, just beer and wine.
Okay. All right, we have.
It's a cheap meeting.
We have
Maybe
greater-
soda and water, but not other liquor.
We have a
Sorry.
more finite synopsis for the consumption of those in attendance at the St. Louis County Municipal League monthly meeting to be held in the council chambers November 21, 2013 at 7 o'clock.
Thank you. All right, any questions? We are just going to host the Municipal League monthly meeting. We do this every couple of years, and these will be for refreshments after that meeting. So, any questions? Roll call, please. Oh, I'm sorry, we need a motion.
Motion to pass Resolution 999.
In a second.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Alderman Harper?
Yes.
Alderman Nguyen?
No.
Alderman Robertson?
Yes.
Alderman Kramer?
Yes.
Alderman Tui?
Yes.
Alderman Leahy?
Yes.
Alderwoman Saunders?
Yes.
Thank you. Resolution 1000, please.
Your Honor, Resolution 1000, the mesothelioma liability election for self-insured employers. This resolution provides for the acceptance of mesothelioma liability pursuant to the Workers' Compensation Act. Our city of Brentwood elects to accept liability under the Missouri Workers' Compensation Act, that in order to cover mesothelioma liability under the current self-insured workers' compensation program.
Okay.
Question, Your Honor.
Alderman Leahy.
Has the city of Brentwood at present have any realization that we have or potentially have exposed employees to asbestos?
We don't believe we do, nor would any municipality that belongs to Slate. But we are mandated by this new state law to make sure that we elect coverage if we have employees that are exposed to this in the
If
future.
we have employees exposed, but we know of no exposure, and yet we're going to agree to increase the coverage for something that we don't believe is present in the city of Brentwood for their thing, and yet we're going to pay higher premiums because of the higher risk.
state statute does not allow us the option to opt out.
Opt out, yeah.
Well, and also, can we be assured, I mean, with firemen and police going into various, I mean, with them going into different homes?
It's usually for those in the construction trade.
Yeah,
Okay.
construction trade.
And if I might add this, if the city does not elect this coverage, it'll be left to its own means
Yep.
to defend any litigation and damages.
It's a catch-22, and that's what rubs me wrong with this to work with. If the city can document, and I'm going to ask the city attorney, if the city can document that we are not exposing personnel to this arrangement, can we write up enough good documentation to support the fact that the city should not have to go by this type of policy?
I would not recommend
Not
that.
doing
I think
that.
there's too many potential sources of
Okay.
exposure that would be outside the ability of the city to, A, prevent, document.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, I would tend to think that there's probably some places in this building that have some asbestos in it, you know. I
Okay.
would
Nobody-
think somewhere, just because of the age, whether it's pipe covering inside the walls or tile floor in some places that is covered up, I don't know, but I don't know that we could ever say that you don't have that exposure, couldn't have that exposure, I guess. You couldn't document that.
Okay.
So, okay.
I just had one question. Can we, there isn't, it says you can join a pool, but there's no pool that exists right now. If at a later time, can we join that pool, if that becomes available?
Since we belong to Slate, it is my understanding that members of Slate are electing to join.
Okay, I just
I mean,
wanted
we're
to ask
in
that.
essence a pull through Slate.
Exactly.
Okay.
Your Honor.
And we have no idea of the cost, though? What increase in
No.
the ballpark even?
I'm sure that they'll be providing that information to us at a later date.
That's
Alderman Lee.
Motion to accept Resolution 1000.
Second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Next item, accounts against the city.
Your Honor, we have a warrant list before us in the amount of $204,582.85. And I make a motion to approve the warrant list as submitted.
Okay. Any questions?
Or a second?
Oh, we need a second first, I'm sorry. Is there a second to?
Second, Your Honor.
Thank you. Any questions? All in favor of approving the warrant list as submitted, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Thank you. Next item, reports of department and committee heads. Under the mayor's report, one item that has been ongoing, we did finally, well, not finally, but we've gotten the numbers with respect to the rec center improvements that we had talked about, and the projected expenses are in the proposed budget for this year. We're anticipating being able to do something with this next year. And I will read these real quick. The items that are going to be included in the upgrades and repairs of the rec center. Roof replacement, mechanical system replacement and upgrade, fire sprinkler system, new fire alarm system, electrical system replacement and upgrade, ADA improvements, additional ADA improvements. Matter of fact, let me start this over. I'm going to read these numbers because I think it's important. The roof replacement is estimated to be about $476,000. Mechanical replacement upgrades estimated $280,000. These are pretty firm numbers. New sprinkler system, again, to bring us up to current code, $250,000. New fire alarm system, $41,000. Electrical system replacement upgrade, $519,000. ADA improvements on the interior, $75,000. ADA improvements exterior, $100,000. Code-related existing improvements, $5,000. Structural slab replacements, $251,000. Ice rink refrigeration equipment replacement, again, to bring it up to the new standards when they eliminate Freon, is $912,000. That comes to a total of just over $2.9 million. GBA has submitted a proposal to be our construction manager through this project. It'd be about an additional $151,872 flat fee for those services. we met with Stiefel, put together a couple different options with respect to issuing COPs in order to fund this project. I think there's a number of different options with respect to duration of the bonds and interest rates. Gina is evaluating that. I would let her make a recommendation which she thinks is going to be best for the city going forward. The goal would be to issue the bonds at the first of next year so that these projects can be put out to bid and then start to be completed next year. Alderman Saunders.
I'm glad we're making progress and in a good direction. Will we receive the document with the numbers and that?
Yeah, we'll
You
forward
received it weeks ago.
Okay,
Yeah.
weeks ago?
Yes.
I missed that, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I apologize. And then also, when you said GBA as far as the construction manager, do we have to bid that out?
Since we are selecting an engineering firm that we have an agreement with, we could have easily approached any of the 4 engineering firms that we already have an agreement with to provide that service. So I don't know that we necessarily need to bid it out.
Okay, I just want to be careful of.
Do you think it'd be worthwhile getting a price from each one of those?
Yeah.
Looking at for the
Sure.
scope of work?
We could
I
do
mean,
that.
it's a big number if we
And
can.
the reason why
right.
we went with GBA was because they provided that initial report back.
Right.
I understood
years
for the
ago.
engineering services and coming up with the documents, but as construction manager, I guess since that was one of the items listed in the state audit on the fire project, I want to just be careful. So as long as staff and
I'll double
Attorney
check that,
Albrecht.
and we'll
Yeah.
go from there.
I think at least we could solicit, if it's appropriate, we could solicit the 4 that we have contracts with. Yeah. Okay. But that's a goal, is to, again, the bond expenditures are in the budget, and the goal would be, the reason for issuing the bonds is that we would be able to facilitate doing all these right away as fast as possible, and coordinate them from a construction standpoint to make it more efficient. And so, that's the process I'm recommending. That's what we put in the budget for next year. So, okay. So that's the update on that. 2 other things. One, we touched on it. We will be, the Municipal League called a few weeks ago, asked if we could host the November Municipal League meeting. That will be here in this room on November 21st. The meeting starts at 7 o'clock here in the courtroom. I would actually ask as many of the aldermen who are available to come, and we can welcome everybody to the city of Brentwood. It's a great opportunity to meet some of the other elected officials throughout the county. One other thing, Eric, I'd like, or Justin, if you could check. A while back, we had asked P&Z to look at our electronic sign ordinance. We had actually 2 of the churches in the community were interested in putting up electric signs, or message board signs, I should say, not necessarily just electric signs. They're more interested in the message board signs. I don't know if P&Z actually ended up taking that under discussion, but we haven't heard a recommendation back. So, Alderman Lay.
P&Z did entertain that
Did they?
request.
I couldn't
They came back negative.
Okay.
Because at the same time that they were asked to entertain it, Walgreens wanted to come in and put in a message board right at the corner and be changing the ordinance allowing it, would end up getting us milk ads for $3.99 or whatever milk is right now.
Well, again, I think that's what, we need to review that, and I'd like to have a formal recommendation back to the board. I think originally those ordinances were made because there are other electronic signs that were not very appealing, but it's more of a commonplace. I think when we do some upgrades, matter of fact, I think that would be a great addition for the rec center, to have an electronic sign out there. It's just becoming more common, and the obtrusiveness, if that's the appropriate word, of some of the older signs are not what the newer signs are designed for. So
We had an electric sign for this building in the budget about 6 years ago, right when Walgreens came in wanting to put theirs in, and that we killed all of it.
Again, I mean, that's what I'm getting. I don't know that allowing Walgreens is a bad thing. I guess as long as we,
It was a matter of the aesthetics of how it would affect the whole intersection.
So anyway, if they could look at that, I would appreciate that. That's all I have under my report this evening. Public Safety Committee, anything further?
We have a meeting 21st of this month at 5:30. You guys can make it.
I think there, I'm sorry, Your Honor, Alderman Nguyen, I think there's a possibility that might change, or no?
No.
We've talked about it before the meeting
It's going to be
tonight.
on that day.
It's at 5:30?
Yeah,
Can you guys make it?
Okay.
Yeah, 5:30,
November 21st.
November 21st, and that's it.
Public Works Committee?
No report, Your
Oh,
Honor.
I'm
I
sorry,
just have a
Alderman Sanders.
question. Do we know the status of the trash carts, the recycle carts? I have a
think they're
resident
in,
asking
aren't they?
about it, and he said he's been waiting for months and was told that they were still on order.
No,
No,
They're in now?
I think we're beginning to deliver them, or we'll
Okay,
be doing that
okay,
shortly.
then
If
I'll
you
see
have an
Jim
address-
or you afterwards. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I would just make sure that they have them on the list. They're not all taken yet, but I'm pretty sure they're in. So,
Okay.
okay.
Thank
Public
you.
Works Committee?
No,
Anything?
no report, Your Honor.
Okay. Director of Planning?
At the last Board of Aldermen meeting, the board directed staff to draft a letter and send it to the owners of the water and bowl, essentially citing that there were ongoing concerns with the noise, particularly with the residential properties up on top of the hill. That letter has gone out. We have had several conversations with the owner. We expect that we will be able to get you guys a formal response from them soon, very soon, hopefully. But that's where we're at right now, and we will keep you guys in the loop and, of course, get you the response from the owner as soon as we get it.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Ways and Means, anything further?
Your Honor, we have a very important budget meeting here on Thursday at 5:30. Everyone is welcome to attend.
Great. City Attorney, anything further?
No report, Your Honor.
City Clerk, we have 2 items.
Yes, 2 items. The city received an estimated balance of the pilot funds of the municipal revenue from the Brentwood Square. The estimated balance of the pilot's fund is $362.2622, and the trust indenture indicates that the trustee shall transfer this balance to the city, and the city shall declare this balance as a surplus to be distributed to the taxing districts. At the Ways and Means Committee, there was a motion that the Board of Aldermen declare the balance in the pilot's fund as surplus in accordance with the trust indenture so that it can be distributed to the taxing districts. So that would be the first motion if there is concurrence on that.
I'll make that motion.
And second?
Second, Your Honor.
Any other discussion? Would like to point out, I mean, this was a good agreement that we worked out with the school district on when we started this project. In essence, any revenues over our projected revenues, instead of going to pay down the bonds earlier, were held back and then distributed to the taxing districts. And I would say more years than not, we've had additional funds that we've been able to pass through. Roughly, and I'm just of this $362,000. About half of that goes to the school district. About half of our property tax will go to the school district, so that should be around $130,000. The rest of it goes to the other taxing districts. And the best news is that the project is still on track, as well as Brentwood Point. They will both be paid off fully next year. Then the entire revenues, both property tax and sales tax, will be going to the appropriate taxing districts. Alderwoman Saunders.
Just to add to that, the school district, they were able to roll back their tax rate in part. They had come in very, very frugal spending on their part, but also part of it was their money that they've received from this pilot. So that's a good thing for the school district, but we helped them out too. So.
I don't mean to be nitpicky, but rollback has a different connotation. I think, the school district this year.
Well, they just didn't go to the ceiling,
right? But they're still raising their taxes by 65
yes,
cents.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
I think that's confusing to the public because I've had people question me on that.
I'm sorry.
They
I
are
used
not
the wrong
assessing
word.
their full amount, and their property tax is actually going up by 65 cents.
In my email, I didn't say roll back tonight. I used the wrong term, but yes, I agree. They're not going to the ceiling.
Okay. Alderman Lady.
Thank you for the clarification.
With the payoff of both the Brentwood Square and
The point.
The Deerberg Point. Since we no longer pay a TIF, will all of the sales tax money from those two facilities stay in the general revenue fund for the city of Brentwood? Or will part of that money have to be shared with the pool city program?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, which?
Yes, I mean, you know, again, it will, a portion of that will go into the pool. It's one of the issues that we have, you know, our population went up a little bit, but that's based on population and total sales in the county and, total population in the county, and the calculation changes on a monthly basis. So, yes, will some of those revenues go into the pool? Absolutely. Last year, Gina, do you know what historically, we're getting up to the point where we're up above 31% of our general revenue general revenue sales tax goes into that pool. It's in excess of 1.2 million, I would estimate at this point. So, but that will increase.
Okay. The reason I'm asking is because I'm trying to get a good handle. We get the sales tax from it, but it's based on a percentage of gross sales brought in, or we only get so much sales tax from the project that we get to keep, and anything above that has to be turned over to the sales.
Okay.
I believe it should be a percentage of gross sales tax brought in for the year.
The way it works is, so whatever the base sales tax is there, we get to keep 100%. So,
okay.
and actually, Brentwood Point, I don't think there was any, so it doesn't make any difference. So, but the way that the sales tax distribution is calculated, it's based on our total population, or the total population of St. Louis County. At the beginning of the year, they create it, and then the total sales from the year before. So let's say if then they divide the total sales by, or sales tax by the total population of St. Louis County. Let's say that comes out to $300 per person. We then, as a community, get to keep $300 off of our total general revenue sales tax. We get to keep $300 of that off of the top before they start taking a percentage out into the pool. Okay, so so at the beginning of the year, you know, the first couple months, we keep all of our 1 cent sales tax. After that, that calculation changes every month, and again, based on the sales, and then the percentage is going into the pool. And so as our sales continue to grow, the percentage that they're taking out continues to grow as well. In years past, we've actually had years where in November and December, we weren't getting any general revenue sales tax. All of it was going into the pool.
Pools.
Okay? We've surpassed that level now because our sales tax has gotten higher. But the percentage, the overall percentage, you know, does increase as our sales go up.
Okay.
And it's a very, you know, complicated formula that they use and determine that. It's based, again, on total sales, total population, you know, and those are the two main things. And then they take that revenue and distribute it to the point of sale, or the pool cities.
E-cities.
Right.
Okay.
So,
thank you.
Right. Okay. They probably made it more complicated, but that's the way it works.
Good recitation.
Okay.
It goes to figuring the whole budget and how you can actually project whether or not you're going to make more money this year that you'll have for the budget or not.
And you will. You know, the other benefit, I mean, on that is that, you know, as that goes up, we still have the 1/4 cent sales tax, which, again, we don't get to keep all of that either. But the 1/4 cent, I think they take either, well, 14 or 15% right there. So that goes into the pool, but that grows pretty steadily with, you know, the sales, obviously. So, right.
The second item of this item under Brentwood Square Shopping Center TIF reimbursement is that the estimated balance of the municipal revenue fund is $566,724.39 plus the November 1st interest earning. Also, per Section 402F of the trust indenture, the trustees shall, upon written direction of the city, transfer these funds to the city to be used for any proper governmental purpose. In the 2013 budget, we have included $350,000 from this anticipated municipal revenue. And the difference, the request is that that goes into the city's operating reserve. So at the Ways and Means Committee, the motion was that the Board of Aldermen direct UMB, which is the city's trustee, to disperse the balance of the municipal revenue fund to the city in order to meet the 2013 general fund revenue budget and provide additional funding for the city's operating reserves.
I'll make that motion.
Mayor, before we make the motion on this one, can we get a vote on the last one? I have a first and a second, but I don't have the overall.
I was going to say, isn't that, so what was the motion on that? Because I thought that's what we had already done, but.
No, this one was to
request that
a
those
surplus
funds
and a right.
be declared a balance surplus.
Oh, we
and-
declared, okay.
Right.
Okay, so,
The first was the pilots.
Yes.
okay. And so,
I do
we had a
have a
first and a
first
second to declare this as surplus. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. And now the second motion needs to be to,
Which, so moved, as Bull
Yes.
stated.
The 566,000.
Okay.
get declared.
The only- I just have one comment, and I did mention
second that
that we
motion.
could use some of this for the compensation survey, but actually, since we said this all would go to reserves, won't we get a portion of the pilot's money that was, are we
will.
one of the taxing?
The city will.
Okay, so that money could be used, if it ever happens.
No, you spent
okay.
First and
You
second.
get-
We have first
get
and
some of the
second.
pilots.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Sorry about that. Okay.
The last item,
Okay.
the city received
We get some of
surplus
this.
distribution from Slate for positive workers' compensation results for year ending June 30th, 2013, in the amount of $40,350.71. The recommendation is that this money be used to offset any increase in premiums cost for insurance purposes.
Okay.
And we have a projected use for the money.
That's-
Excuse me. Yes, for workers' compensation premium increases that
Right.
we will incur.
Okay. So we have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Oh,
Oh.
you go ahead.
First and a second, that's
Merry
fine.
Christmas. Merry Christmas.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Excise Commissioner, nothing this evening. Library,
No report.
Municipal League, nothing to report. Historical Society,
Yes, we have a November 17th, there's a tea coming up, and it's at, I believe, 1:30 on November 17th, usually held at the Congregational Church, I believe. And the tickets are $20 a piece, and you can call Regina Garr. I'm not going to give her phone number out over publicly, but if you call Regina Garr, she can get the ticket, or call City Hall. They can call you, can't they? Call her at
Yes,
City
yes,
Hall,
and I will provide that information.
and you'll
Yes.
provide the information, and that's all.
okay. One other item under the Municipal League, I don't know if I've informed the board, but at the Missouri Municipal League Conference this past September, I was nominated in order to serve on the Missouri Municipal League Board as one of the executive board members, and voted to serve in that position, so I will be filling a term on the Missouri Municipal League Board for the next 2 years, so.
Very good.
We do have a executive session this evening for legal personnel matter, and any unfinished business at this point?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
A couple items. One is on the agenda, and that is the recommendation by the Ways and Means Committee for the City of Brentwood to form an audit committee. This is a recommendation of our own auditor to either expand the role of the Ways and Means Committee or to create an audit committee. And the Ways and Means Committee has made a recommendation that the full board, along with the mayor, create such.
Okay. And I don't know if the rest of the other board members have had a chance to look at that. The concern I have with what has been proposed by Ways and Means, which again I don't have a copy of in front of me, but when I looked at it a couple weeks ago, basically just outlines a procedure for selecting members for that committee. It doesn't outline what their duties and responsibilities are going to be.
Yes, yes. It really does.
Well, it says oversight. I mean, I don't think it defines their role enough if you look at other committees and how they're established. It lists the protocol for selecting them, going through an interview process, and so forth. It has the terms of office, and it says for the oversight of responsibilities, the audit committee will be responsible only to the City of Brentwood's Ways and Means Committee, which I don't agree with. If we have an audit committee, they need to report back to the whole board. But it really doesn't, and it talks about their qualifications, but it doesn't spell out what they're actually going to be looking at, what their role is going to be, and I think that's an important factor in there. Again, I think, but most importantly, they need to be, this committee needs to report back to the full board, not just back to a subcommittee that really doesn't have any authority to do anything without the full board support anyway. I think it needs to be refined more in order to be implemented, because looking at that, I don't even know what they're going to be doing. So,
well, the job of the audit committee is to serve as advisory. In the past, I'm sure a lot of people know, we had recommendations from our auditors that weren't always followed upon because the board either wasn't made aware of them or didn't understand them. Maybe the board didn't have the skill sets. This is a group of professionals that have audit experience. They're licensed CPAs. They would hear, the recommendations from our external auditors that filter to the Ways and Means and the board, and ultimately be a fail-safe in case some of these recommendations are ignored. They're a committee of citizens that have expertise to basically let the Board of Aldermen know we're not doing our due diilligence.
And that's fine. I just think that those responsibilities need to spell out in something that we're going to approve. I was in support of this a year and a half ago, and it got turned down by the Board of Aldermen to form a finance committee. This is not uncommon in other municipalities, and I am in support of it. But again, the duties and responsibility of that committee need to be spelled out.
Your Honor.
Well, could we just add what I just said to it? We can just add what I just said, that they'll basically serve as a liaison to meet with our external auditors, receive the audit reports, and give a recommendation. I don't think it really matters whether it goes to the board or the Ways and Means when they give their recommendation. I wouldn't call an audit committee a finance committee. They're just not.
Well, and that's fine.
They're not the same.
Right.
Your Honor, if I could, and I appreciate the fact that you have some differences, and we have discussed this at Ways and Means for a while. But in all fairness to the members who are not able to be with us this evening, this is a creation of a brand-new committee for our city. And I would be perfectly happy to recommend that we place this item on hold to take up at our next meeting. We might discuss it again at our Ways and Means Committee interim, and that will give our other aldermen who aren't able to be here at this moment to weigh in.
I'd just like to add, though, this did come from our auditor, external auditors. I mean, short of a burning bush emerging here and telling us to do this, I can't think of higher authority, and for us to ignore it.
I don't have any problem with doing it again, but I think the duties. I also take a little exception with the process for selection. Pretty much have eliminated the input from the mayor through the entire selection process, and then at the end you want the mayor to make the appointment to the full board. And yet he has no say in the interview process that you want to have these volunteers go through at all through that entire process. So, so I think it just needs to be refined in order to have it approved. I'm in favor of it. I just think we need to make sure we know exactly what it is. So, Alderman Leahy.
I'll take the exception to this. I'm not sold on going with the audit committee. And the recommendation from the state auditor and our own auditors was to empower the Ways and Means Committee or create an audit committee of citizens. I would very much like to empower the Ways and Means Committee to do the job.
Well, I mean, I don't know what other empowerment the Ways and Means Committee would need.
Exactly.
Right.
Thus, so. I think all we're doing is creating a bureaucracy on a bureaucracy. I would like the Ways and Means Committee that works the budget with the city staff and stuff, and work through the audit to get better educated and do that job.
Your Honor,
Alderman Kramer.
if I could make a motion to place this item on hold until our next opportunity for a full board's entertainment.
I'll second that.
That's fine. Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any new business?
Oh, I'm sorry, Your Honor. I had one other unfinished business. We
I'm sorry.
haven't heard in a while, Bola, perhaps you know, or Mayor, do we have any update on the Drury project burying of the utility lines?
I haven't since we last brought it up several months ago.
It is funded at this point.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
I
part
will
of the
call them
project.
tomorrow to find out
Okay.
what the update is.
Thank you.
And we did announce at the last meeting that Bonefish will be
Yes,
the
yes.
restaurant. Okay.
Great
Yeah.
news.
Your Honor,
Great news.
Alderman Lee?
under new business, you were going to mention the Veterans Day?
Yes. Historically, the last 15 or so years, we've held a Veterans Day celebration here on Veterans Day. I am canceling that event this year. I just didn't have time to pull it together and find a speaker. The Richmond Heights organization is having, I'm trying to get the details for their event, and we will post that on the website, but we already put on the website that that has been canceled, so, okay. Alderman Saunders?
I just have my Ward 1 meeting next Tuesday at 6:30 here at City Hall.
Okay, and Alderman Lee?
Thank you, Your Honor. The Ward 3 meeting for November, money, yes, there is no money, is Tuesday night, the 26th of November at 7 o'clock up here in the council room. Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay.
Oh, second announcement, if I may.
Sure.
This month is also the Boy Scouts annual Scouting for Food event. They will be going out the weekend of the 19th and collecting the weekend of the 24th for Scouting for Food, for the food pantries throughout the entire city of St. Louis to work with. The food that's collected here does stay, and unfortunately, what we used to collect would feed for a year. The demand, unfortunately, has gone up, and we are running short of supplies. So as see the bags out, please fill yours to overfilling. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Do we want to have public comment now or come back after the executive session for public comment?
Do it now.
Okay.
Now. Yeah.
All right, if anybody would like to address the Board of Aldermen, please come forward and give us your name and address.
Oh, my.
Susan Ryan, Pine Avenue. Two things. Last February, I'd asked the city to consider a penalty and a deterrent to any party not complying with the ARB approval process, denying surrounding property owners due process. What value are approval processes if they can be ignored and forgiven without consequence? So has there been any review or consideration of that provision for our code? And second thing is, as far as an audit committee, auditors have a lifetime of experience to bring to the Ways and Means Committee. And the Ways and Means Committee members, as members on this board, is not supposed to be a lifetime position. So therefore, any expertise that you may gain would transition off a Ways and Means Committee as you are replaced in your positions. So thanks.
Denise Stebbing again, and I'd just like to ask this board to try to expedite the situation with the watering bowl because, 3 weeks from now is Thanksgiving, and that's one of the busiest times for kennels, and that means a lot more, while everybody else is having Thanksgiving dinner, we're having it trying to talk over the barking dogs. So I'd like to ask that, this committee push that forward. I appreciate what's been done to this point, but I really would hope that we could get the business to start complying with the ordinance that they're breaking basically. So thank you.
We'll close public comment. If I could have a motion to go into executive session.
So moved, Your Honor.
Second.
And second, roll call, please.
Alderman Nguyen?
Yes.
Alderman Robertson?
Yes.
Alderman Kramer?
Yes.
Alderman Tui?
Yes.
Alderman Leahy?
Yes.
Alderwoman Saunders?
Yes.
Not me.
So I know.
It sounds like it.
We'll meet back in the conference room.
It's not an iPhone.